Subscribe because it is free.
Dr. Marcus Vale stumbled over another chunk of crystallized plasma debris, sending his portable scanner clattering across the ancient battlefield. The Kethlari archaeologist's four tentacles flailed wildly as he caught himself, muttering a string of what could generously be called academic profanity. This was supposed to be the expedition that would cement his reputation as the galaxy's premier expert on extinct civilizations. Instead, he was playing hopscotch with thousand-year-old wreckage while his emergency rations slowly leaked through a tear in his pack. The dead world of Zirian Prime had once been home to the mighty Zorgoth Empire, conquerors of 1,000 systems. Now it was nothing but radioactive sand and occasional metallic reminder of their former glory. Dr. Marcus Vale had been picking to the ruins for 3 standard days, finding nothing but standard military debris and what appeared to be an ancient alien equivalent graffiti that roughly translated to "Rex was here, your mom is a gastropod." But today felt different. His scanner was picking up something unusual near what remained of the Imperial Command Center. The reading suggested a structure that didn't match Zorgoth architecture, something that had been deliberately placed rather than built. As he approached, his universal translator began acting up, displaying fragments of text in languages he didn't recognize. The beacon stood 3 meters tall, constructed from materials that his scanner couldn't identify. It hummed with residual energy despite being obviously ancient. But what made ZYXTH's primary heart skip several beats were the inscriptions covering its surface. Dozens of them. Different languages, different scripts, different species. His translator worked frantically, cycling through its database. The first translation made him blink all 6 eyes in confusion. Bring Snack's 2/3 planet of system designation SL3. That couldn't be right. ZYXTH smacked the translator with his free tentacle and tried again. Warning. Do not approach 3rd planet of System Sol. Turn back now. Better, but still odd. He adjusted the linguistic matrix and ran it once more. Danger! 3rd planet Sol System. Run. Run now. Do not look back. Dr. Marcus Vale's snack bar fell from his suddenly nerveless grip. This wasn't a monument or a territorial marker. This was a warning beacon. And according to his analysis, the inscriptions came from at least 12 different species, spanning nearly 2 millennia. 12 different civilizations had left essentially the same message about the same unremarkable star system. He pulled up the galactic charts on his scanner, locating the Sol system with growing unease. It was nothing special, a standard G-type star with a handful of rocky planets and some gas giants. The 3rd planet was barely worth noting, a small blue world that didn't even register on most trade routes. Yet here were warnings about it from the Zorgoth Empire, the technological supremacists of the Cyber Collective, the hive mind of Kepler 442, and 9 other extinct civilizations. The most recent warning, carved in the flowing script of the ethereal dominion, was only 300 years old. 300 years since the last civilization had felt compelled to warn others about a backwater planet that shouldn't matter to anyone. Dr. Marcus Vale's translator helpfully noted that the ethereal dominion's final message included what appeared to be the galactic equivalent of crying emojis. As he documented each inscription, a pattern emerged that made his skin crawl. These weren't conquering civilizations leaving threats. These were warnings. Desperate, terrified warnings from species that had encountered something on that 3rd planet and lived just long enough to tell others to stay away. The Zorgoth Empire, legendary for their phrase, "We came, we saw, we conquered," had left a message that essentially said, "We came, we saw, we ran screaming." Dr. Marcus Vale packed his equipment with trembling tentacles. He needed to get back to the Great Archives and research these extinct civilizations immediately. Because if 12 different advanced species had encountered something on that insignificant blue world that scared them enough to leave warnings for future generations, then the galaxy had a problem. A big, terrifying blue problem that apparently went by the designation Earth. The Great Galactic Archives resembled a paranoid librarian's fever dream, with security protocols that made military installations look welcoming. Dr. Marcus Vale endured 3 biometric scans, a psychological evaluation, and what he was pretty sure was a pat down by a mechanical tentacle before reaching the main desk. The head archivist, an ancient crystalline being known only as Archon, regarded him with the enthusiasm typically reserved for tax auditors and door-to-door salespeople. "I need access to classified extinction files," Dr. Marcus Vale announced, sliding his research credentials across the desk. Archon's crystalline form flickered with what might have been amusement. "Which ones?" "We have 17,000 classified extinction files. Most species prefer to die quietly without bothering the paperwork department. The ones related to Sol 3, Earth, the blue planet in the outer rim." Every light in Archon's body went out. When they flickered back on, his voice carried the weight of eons and several metric tons of regret. "Oh, you poor, stupid creature. You found one of the warning beacons, didn't you?" Before Dr. Marcus Vale could respond, Archon was already moving, leading him through corridors that seemed to stretch into infinity. They passed reading rooms labeled mildly disturbing, significantly worrying, and therapy recommended. Their destination was a vault marked, "Open only in case of existential stupidity." The Nope files, Archon announced dramatically, producing a key that looked like it had been forged from concentrated anxiety. Everything we know about the civilizations that encountered the humans and lived long enough to file a complaint. The first file belonged to the Zorgoth Empire, legendary conquerors who had steamrolled to the galaxy like particularly violent tourists. Their final transmission crackled to the archive's ancient speakers. Day 47 of what should have been a 3-day conquest. They're still using pointed sticks. Pointed sticks. How are pointed sticks penetrating our quantum armor? We've thrown everything at them, plasma cannons, reality disruptors, the works. They just pick up our weapons and figure out how to use them faster than our own engineers. Yesterday, one of them threw a rock at our flagship and somehow disabled our main reactor. A rock. They're learning, they're adapting, and they're doing it with tools that shouldn't exist outside a museum. Final recommendation: run. Run and never stop running. Archon helpfully offered Dr. Marcus Vale a stress ball shaped like a small planet. That's not even the worst one. The Cyber Collective thought they were clever. The next file belonged to the technological supremacists who had uploaded their consciousness to achieve digital immortality. Their final log entry played through speakers that seemed to be crying. Error. Attempted to hack primitive Earth networks. Error. They hacked US back. Error. They're using something called memes as weapons. Error. What is a Rickroll? Error. Why is everything purple? Error. They've somehow weaponized their entertainment. Error. System failure imminent. Error. Please send help. Error. Please send therapy. Error. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Error. Make it stop. The humans turn a harmless song into a viral weapon that crashed an entire digital civilization, Archon explained, now offering Dr. Marcus Vale anxiety medication. The Cyber Collective's last coherent message was begging us to format their entire existence. Each file revealed the same pattern. The Psychic Dominion, masters of mental manipulation, had tried to read human thoughts and immediately requested emergency brain bleach. The Reality Shapers, who could alter the fabric of space-time itself, had encountered human stubbornness and declared it a fundamental force of nature that couldn't be changed. The hive mind of Kepler, 442, perfect collective consciousness spanning billions of drones, had contacted Earth once and immediately voted to dissolve themselves rather than process what they had experienced. Every single one, Archon intoned, advanced beyond anything humans had achieved. Every single one encountered something on that blue planet that violated their understanding of how the universe should work. Not violence, not technology, but something fundamentally, impossibly human. Dr. Marcus Vale stared at the mountain of files, each representing a civilization that had ruled star systems and bent reality to their will, all reduced to leaving desperate warnings about a species that hadn't even figured out faster-than-light travel. The archive security system chimed helpfully. Are you absolutely certain you want to continue reading about the human planet? We have lovely files about extinct civilizations that died from normal things like supernovas and economic collapse. There's more, Archon whispered, pulling out a file marked current threats. The Galactic Council is planning something incredibly stupid. The emergency session of the Galactic Council of extremely advanced beings who should know better was being held in their most secure conference room. which still somehow managed to leak classified information to every gossip network in 3 sectors. Admiral Kane of the Dominion fleet stood at the center of the assembly, his forearms gesticulating wildly as he addressed the gathered representatives of 67 different species, all of whom were supposedly smarter than this. Fellow beings of superior intellect, Admiral Kane began, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who had never met a problem he couldn't solve with overwhelming firepower. We have cowered long enough before a single primitive world. I present to you operations surely we're different. A murmur of interest rippled through the assembly. Counselor Nova of the crystalline hegemony raised a translucent appendage. Admiral, are you referring to the blue planet that every previous civilization has recommended we avoid at all costs? The very same, Admiral Kane declared triumphantly. So, 3. Earth, the cosmic joke that has somehow convinced the galaxy it's dangerous. I submit to you that previous failures were due to insufficient planning and inadequate firepower. These humans haven't even achieved faster-than-light travel. They're still using chemical rockets and arguing about whether their planet is round. Archon, attending as a historical consultant, made a noise that sounded like crystal grinding against despair. Admiral, perhaps you should review the files on the 12 extinct civilizations that thought exactly the same thing. Extinct civilizations that were clearly inferior to us, Admiral Kane waved dismissively. The Zorgoth Empire fell because they were too focused on conquest rather than complete annihilation. The Cyber Collective failed because they tried to reason with primitive minds instead of simply deleting them. We will make no such mistakes. Admiral Kane activated a holographic display showing his battle plan. Behold, the glorious armada of inevitable victory and definitely not embarrassing defeat. 10,000 ships, each equipped with reality-warping weapons that can unmake matter at the quantum level. Energy shields that have withstood supernovas. Psychological warfare protocols that have broken the will of entire civilizations. Ambassador Cross of the Diplomatic Corps tentatively raised a tentacle. What if the humans surrender immediately? What's our contingency for a peaceful resolution? Admiral Kane's laugh echoed through the chamber like the sound of grinding metal. These are hairless apes with anger issues and no concept of their own limitations. They'll probably try to fight us with sticks and stones. We'll broadcast surrender demands in all their primitive languages, give them exactly 1 standard hour to comply, then demonstrate why the rest of the galaxy calls us the Dominion Fleet. Dr. Marcus Vale, granted emergency speaking privileges due to his research, stood shakily. Admiral, with respect, every single previous encounter suggests that underestimating human adaptability is a fatal mistake. The Zorgoth Empire had similar confidence and numerical superiority. The Zorgoth Empire didn't have quantum disintegration cannons, Admiral Kane replied smugly. They didn't have ships that exist partially outside normal space-time to avoid primitive kinetic weapons. Most importantly, they didn't have me commanding them. The Council's planning committee had already designed victory medals featuring Admiral Kane's likeness and scheduled a parade for next month. Someone had even commissioned a statue titled Kane the Human Conqueror, despite the invasion not having started yet. The gift shop was already selling commemorative mugs with, "I went to Earth, and all I got was this lousy mug and total galactic supremacy," printed on them. What's the worst that could happen? Counselor Storm asked, which immediately made every historian in the room reach for their emergency sedatives. Humans can't even agree on a single planetary government. They're probably too busy fighting each other to notice us arriving. Archon made one final attempt at reason. Perhaps we should bring spare underwear? You know, just in case things don't go according to plan. The entire council erupted in laughter. The suggestion was so ridiculous that it became the running joke of the session. Spare underwear. As if the most advanced military force in galactic history would need backup undergarments when facing a species that still used fossil fuels. The vote was unanimous. Operation Surely We're Different was approved with full funding, complete media coverage, and absolutely no backup plans because none would be necessary. The invasion fleet would depart in 1 standard week, confident that they were about to write the final chapter in the human story. Dr. Marcus Vale slumped in his seat as the council dispersed, already composing what he suspected would be another warning beacon in his head. Archon patted his shoulder, with a crystalline appendage. Well, at least we'll have excellent documentation of whatever's about to happen. The humans seem to record everything. The glorious armada of inevitable victory and definitely not embarrassing defeat dropped out of hyperspace with all the subtlety of a supernova at a dinner party. 10,000 ships arranged in perfect formation, their quantum disintegration cannons charging with a whine of impending doom. Admiral Kane stood on his flagship's bridge, already practicing his victory speech for the galactic news networks. Primitive humans of the third planet. His voice boomed across all communication frequencies. You are hereby ordered to surrender unconditionally to the superior forces of the Galactic Dominion. You have 1 standard hour to comply before we demonstrate why resistance is futile. Earth's response was immediate and utterly baffling. Government officials began attempting diplomatic contact, while simultaneously every major news network started broadcasting live coverage with commentary tracks. The humans' primitive internet exploded with something called memes mocking the alien ship designs, with particular criticism of what they termed overcompensating space triangles. Someone had already created a website selling t-shirts that read, "I survived the alien invasion, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt." Within minutes, teenagers were launching commercial drones equipped with cameras to get closer looks at the alien fleet. The humans weren't running in terror or cowering in bunkers. They were treating this like entertainment. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Blake from the communication station, "the humans they're trying to friend us on something called social media. They're asking if we need directions to the nearest McDonald's." Admiral Kane's confidence began developing hairline cracks. Ignore their primitive attempts at psychological warfare. Begin the demonstration. Target their largest population centers with minimal force. The first quantum disintegration beam lands down toward New York City. It should have vaporized several city blocks. Instead, it dissipated harmlessly against what appeared to be a hastily erected barrier made from shopping carts, car parts, and what looked like kitchen appliances, all somehow wired together. The energy was not only blocked, but apparently redirected back toward the fleet, causing 3 Dominion ships to experience what their computers politely termed unexpected technical difficulties. "How?" Admiral Kane whispered, staring at the tactical display. "How did they reverse engineer our weapons in 47 minutes? "Sir," Blake's voice cracked. "They're broadcasting instructions on how to build the deflector shields on something called YouTube. The video already has 3 million views, and the comment section is full of suggested improvements." The situation deteriorated rapidly. Humans began appearing on Dominion ships, not through advanced teleportation technology, but through what could only be described as aggressive improvisation. They had somehow constructed spacecraft from captured alien technology, Earth materials, and what appeared to be duct tape. Boarding parties armed with tools that shouldn't exist were cutting through quantum-sealed bulkheads, while their universal translators cheerfully asked if anyone needed help with anything. "They're in engineering," Lieutenant Hayes shouted over the chaos. "They're not attacking the crew. They're trying to fix our engine efficiency problems." One of them brought snacks. The breaking point came when a human voice crackled over the fleet's secure command frequency. "Hey, alien fleet people. This is Sarah from Houston. We've been analyzing your ship designs, and we think you might have some structural integrity issues. Also, whoever designed your user interface should probably consider a career change. Want to come down for a barbecue? We're making enough for everyone." Admiral Kane stood in his command center, watching his invincible fleet being systematically improved by a species that had somehow managed to turn a military invasion into a community service project. The humans weren't conquering his ships through violence. They were fixing them, feeding his crews, and providing helpful suggestions for better tactical formations. It was the most terrifying thing he had ever witnessed. "Retreat," he whispered, then louder, "Retreat. All ships, emergency hyperspace jump. Now!" The surviving vessels of the glorious armada of inevitable victory and definitely not embarrassing defeat fled Earth system, leaving behind the same message that 12 previous civilizations had carved in stone. Do not approach the third planet. Run. The final log entry, discovered later by Dr. Marcus Vale in the archives, read simply, "They offered us food. They tried to help us. They are impossible. They are chaos given form. The universe makes sense everywhere except near them. We do not know what they are, but they are not like us. They are not like anyone. Run. Earth was immediately declared a galactic no-fly zone, marked with warning beacons that would last for millennia. Admiral Kane was last seen applying for a library position on a quiet agricultural world, where the most dangerous thing was occasionally aggressive livestock.